Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Vibrant Mom podcast. Today, I am so excited to be welcoming a guest into the pod. Please help me welcome Lauren Blakeley. I met Lauren through a friend. So, the first podcast guest that we had was the wonderful Sarah Hubbard. And I'll be sure to link the show notes and the episode to our conversation in this podcast summary. But after our conversation, Sarah said, "Do you know who Lauren Blakeley is? You have to meet her. She is a Los Angeles based personal stylist, and she believes that getting dressed can be a grounding, confidence building ritual rather than another source of stress." Her bio continues that through a thoughtful, modern approach to style, she helps women rediscover clarity and confidence, not by changing who they are, but by helping their wardrobes to reflect who they've already become. So beautiful. She works virtually with women across the country, supporting them wherever they are. She is also a mom of two. She has a 10-year-old son and a 5.5-year-old daughter. Lauren, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I like talking about style and getting dressed all day.
Oh, well, I'm so glad to have you on because the reason why Sarah asked, "Do you know who Lauren is?" I'm interviewing her on my podcast, is because right before we pushed record for the podcast she and I did together on Vibrant Mom, we were commiserating about like style ruts we felt like we were in. And I was like, I really don't know what to wear. I'm turning 45 next month. And I would say my son is 9 years old. And this is the second time in the last 9 years that I've kind of stumbled into this like space where I don't feel like the clothes that I have are like exactly me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They they're fine, but I don't wear a lot of the clothes that I have
Yeah.
in my closet. And so I can't wait to learn from you today.
It's a very common conundrum. And I'd love to get into why. I mean, I work with women in motherhood and midlife in any kind of identity transformation. Motherhood in particular is a real metamorphosis that I think, we talk about a lot, but we don't talk about that transformation from who you were before you had children and who you become down the line. And, the expression that the days are long, but the years are short. I mean, you blink and all of a sudden it's been 9 years, right? It's hard to believe sometimes how quickly time has gone. And I feel that the early stages of motherhood are really like this you're in survival mode for so much of it. I'll never forget like early days of motherhood and being shocked by the lack of time to simply take a shower. like, you're like, when am I ever going to get to shower again? If you could get out the door with clothes on your body in any way, that was a huge win.
Yes.
So, you know, I think a lot of my clients, I end up meeting them at this place where they are kind of just past that point, and all of a sudden you do have a little bit more time to consider yourself and take the time for yourself. And then you're, you know, looking in a closet that's filled with things that you don't recognize anymore. Maybe looking in the mirror and not really recognizing yourself anymore. It feels a little like you feel a little lost.
I can so relate to that. And I love that word metamorphosis that you used. And I just feel like we metamorphize, if that's a
Mhm.
word, like over and over again. It's
Yeah,
to that like identity evolution that occurs as our kids get a little bit older. I think that
right.
my first little style crisis that I referred to happened just when you described that I got old enough and was like in daycare full time, and I was like getting to this new spot where maybe like 3 to 5 years of age or something like that for him. I felt like I could
Yeah.
invest more in how like what I was wearing and how I was representing myself through style.
Yeah.
Then I know I went through another metamorphosis in the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm
Mhm.
curious what all could be in that new evolution. I know part of that has to do for me, the perimenopause change
Mhm.
that my body has gone through. My
Yeah.
lot so many things about my body has changed, and the way that
Yeah.
I need to care for my body has changed, but less like clothes not fitting body change. I feel like I have changed.
Well, I was gonna say, it's not
Right?
just body changes, it's an identity shift. It's a full
Yes.
identity shift where you go from being, a mom, a mommy, like that's the whole identity for a while. And you put yourself last and what you're putting on your body last because you're taking care. And now all of a sudden your kids hit an age where they're a little bit more self sufficient. And you're like, wait, I have this time now. And not that you have all the time in the world, but there's a little, you feel that time available to you a little bit. Like, what am I going to do with this?
Yes. And I agree. There's like this time opportunity. And then I think there's just this awareness of that identity shift. It's like I'm
Hmm.
aware that I am changing in a way. Either I have already changed or I am
Yeah.
changed. And can you share with me just either or all of the above, like your experience of those identity shifts and
Yeah.
why you think style and clothing can help with that? And or any other stories you have from clients that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, my
Yeah.
before you dive in, where I was at the first identity shift that impacted style, it felt more like time I had time to think about it again, and that one felt a little disorienting, but then I quickly kind of I just needed the time to pay attention to myself
Yeah.
again. And then this
Yeah.
this little identity shift that I'm in when as it comes with style, I think you're catching me in a beautiful continued place of not knowing. Like a little like I haven't yet oriented
Yeah.
personal style as and I have time to think about it, but there's a me I haven't quite uncovered in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that what happens is by the time you get to these two different points that you mentioned, you're kind of like walking into your closet and looking at everything that's there and nothing's really resonating with who you are now. And it's hard to it's difficult to pinpoint exactly what that is, but it's just these are clothes that you bought, you know, some time ago that just don't fit who you are now. It is kind of this, it's like a writer's block of sorts, right? Or you're like, you don't even know where to start. So I think, I know we kind of like plan to talk about this a little bit later, but it makes sense for right now, just in terms of getting excited about style or getting inspired about, what to wear. I think a really good place to start. Is this okay that I'm,
Go
talking
for
about
it.
this
Yeah,
now?
I
Okay.
can't wait. Yes.
I think a really good place to start is to start noticing what's around you. Noticing, like, what are you drawn to? What do you like? What, what do you notice that you think that, about that mom at drop off who just looks great every day, or that woman who you see down walking down the street and just think like looks amazing, like what is it about that? Is it a show that you're watching? Is it a movie that you saw? Is it a character that, I don't know, that you just think like, wow, she looks amazing? And what is it? Is it a modern sensibility? Is it confidence? Is it just a new style that you're interested in, that you're wanting to try? Um just start clocking what gets you, I don't know, excited about style or what somebody else is wearing. I always tell clients that it's really a good idea to have a kind of a style muse, like somebody who you can look to as a bit of a like style North Star, not because you're trying to be that person or dress exactly like that person, but just to have a bit of like a grounding, inspiration for getting dressed every day. So sometimes even when I'm not sure what I'm going to wear on a certain day, I think about a certain style muse and like, oh, what might she wear on this Tuesday?
That's so fun, and I guess I'll highlight this as a tip for all of us, but I will hold on to this tip for myself. When you said to start paying attention and be
Hmm.
curious about what you're drawn to, what
Yeah.
I realized is I've done the first half of that, where
Yeah.
I've looked around and been like, "Am I drawn to this? Am I drawn to that?" I'll walk through the stores in my town, or I'll look at just the things that are coming in or other people that I see. And the answer so far has been, I don't really like any of that. That doesn't feel like me. But
Yeah.
then I've just stopped
Yeah.
that. Like, I got that first answer and then I stopped. And then I just
Yeah.
put my head down and focused on other things and kept putting on whatever clothes I still like in my closet.
Yeah.
I think there's a real invitation for me and for probably many listening that part of, I think, the metamorphosis or the unfolding looks like running into not that experience of not knowing, or running into
Yeah.
the experience of not liking, or running into that
Yeah.
experience of not getting the answer right away.
Yeah.
And I think
Which
being
I was just gonna say,
dedicated, yeah, go
yeah.
ahead. What are your
Well, I
thoughts?
was just gonna say that I think that that's very telling, knowing what you don't like, and I actually think that that's a beautiful part of rediscovering your style and who you are at this point in your life because we there's like we don't have time for BS anymore. I feel like we're like, you do know yourself so well and what works and what doesn't work so quickly. Like we've become much more efficient at this point in our lives, which actually is such an amazing tool when it comes to style. Not knowing what you don't like as much as knowing what you like is a huge part of it. And I think that speaks volumes and I think is actually really helpful and is something to look at as that's a really positive attribute at this point in our lives. It helps, cut out the noise.
Yes. And then I love the idea, that second little tip of, even if I am in the beginning, as I collect information around me, getting what I don't like, what I don't like, what I don't like, to keep that lookout for that style muse. Because once I
Yeah.
find something that I am resonating with, then I don't have to give as much mental energy or effort to that process. I can
Yeah.
to the muses to continue to be inspired by.
Yeah, and you only need a couple, but I mean, you'll start you once you cut out the noise and you do kind of hone in on what it is that you are drawn to, I think is really helpful. Now I'll have some clients who say like, I'm seeing everybody wear this like barrel jean. Do I need a barrel jean? I'm like, no, we're not going to do a barrel jean because if you're under, 5'2" and you're petite or this wide leg jean trend, it might swallow you up. So I think it's also really gaining an understanding of this new body, who you are now, what your body is now, and what works best for it, um, in terms of proportion and balance. And of course, when I'm working on at a high touch level with clients, that's something that I help them with, but that's something that you might need to, if you're not working with somebody, if you are kind of like going in on this, that you need to relearn for yourself. And so one suggestion that I have for listeners is, you know, I know like online shopping can be tricky, going shopping sometimes feels like a chore, but this process, this part of the metamorphosis, it can be a little messy or there is like an investment period. But I think, you know, the payoff is so worthwhile. So I think like taking the time to figure this piece out is such an important investment of time. So I remember when my son was a baby, I mean 10 years ago, and feeling like I need to prioritize myself and my self-care and I'm going to go get my nails done. Like that was my big I'm going to go do this for myself of course, as we all know, it's a big production. I got to get the babysitter or got to get the grandparent or somebody to come over and watch the baby. So you can go, get your nails done. And then going out and getting my nails done and kind of having like crippling anxiety the whole time because I'm like, I don't like the color I picked. I don't like what's happening here. I'm uncomfortable. I'm like, this is not, and I remember leaving thinking like, oh my God, like I would have preferred to buy an expensive latte and walk around my neighborhood. I think it's about, but that's also what I was getting at before in terms of now knowing ourselves. We know ourselves and what we need to fill our cups. But there also has to be some openness and some flexibility. So I think if you're listening to this and you're having this kind of identity shift and you want to walk into a closet that feels like it's working for you right now, you do have to prioritize this time for yourself, make that time and figure out what works for you now. Um, and taking it a step further, if you're not hiring a stylist, you're maybe like going into Nordstrom, going into J. Crew. A lot of these stores, do offer really great customer service in terms of like on floor stylists or people who work there who are there to help you and can help. You say like, focus on one thing. So maybe it's jeans. I'm coming in, I'm going to find the jeans that work for me today and asking for help. And they'll bring you all different things to try. And I think that it's a really good place to start.
Lauren, one of the things that you said earlier, and I'm just imagining being that woman going to Nordstrom's and asking for that help and being willing to try on a lot of different jeans to find the proportion and the fit that
Hmm.
feels most like me. One of the things that you had said is that, and I'm going to get it wrong, so help me to get it right. But there was something really beautiful, I thought, in the idea that you don't, as a woman in or nearing midlife, there's this invitation to look less out there for what culture is saying you should wear and what
Right.
a woman should wear, whether it be a barrel or a skinny jean or whatever it is. And I hear that in your work with clients, an important part of what you're helping with is to understand what works proportionately for them. So that could be like an aesthetic thing, but I think it also could be like a deeper self-empowerment that we're very connected to who we actually are and
Hmm.
find something that works for us that might be different than what other people are putting on their bodies. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that being able to tune out trends and what's trending right now is so important because it's really, and especially right now, it's one of the things that I actually love so much about fashion right now is that it's really about what works best for you. It's not about like, oh, skinny jeans are out. It's all about wide leg or wide legs out. Now skinny's coming back. And you'll see, I mean, if you pay attention to the trends, you will get whiplash so fast. I promise you. I think it's just take what works. If it resonates, great. If not, just skip right over it. But most important is to figure out what works for you right now. And there is some like discovery that needs to happen there because a lot of times, very often, and a lot of clients that I meet with at this point in their lives don't know. You don't know yet because up until a certain point in your life, it was only about you and spending all the time in the world to figure out what worked best for you. And then you're coming out of this like early stages of motherhood, and it's almost like you've like, there's been like a time warp. You're like, I've got all these like jeggings in my closet. This is, I mean, it's like a universal thing. All these jeggings, they're like skin tight. They have a weird smell. Like, what am I doing? It just, you feel like, you're trying to figure out what your style is today, what works best for you. And yeah, there's a little bit of time investment that needs to happen there, but that's the most important thing is to figure out what works for you, not what's trending right now.
One of the things that you just said is what works for you right now.
Yeah.
That Tell me more about that. That, like, sense
Yeah.
of, like, currency with one's
Yeah.
body. oneself.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're used to at this point in our lives our body going through changes. I mean, it happens all the time. It's not like we've lived in the same body and then all of a sudden there's a big change. I think there's a big change that happens. Of course, that one of the biggest changes is after you've had children. I'm like, I have like hips and a butt that I never had before. I don't know what to do with this, but it's about embracing it and not. And I know that can sound a little like hokey over here, and I don't mean it in that way. I just mean that you should dress your body and love your body for how it is right now and not for when you hopefully lose 5 pounds or all of a sudden like your hips disappear because it's you should be feeling good in what you're putting on your body and in your clothes every single day. And I don't mean to sound wasteful in this next thing that I'm about to say, but I do think that there's something wonderful about access to better price point offerings at this point. I mean, it's amazing what Target has. It's amazing what like some of these some fast fashion I really try not to go there with, but I think that in terms of trying things and not making a huge investment or feeling like you have to spend thousands of dollars to like solve this like problem, you don't have to do that. I think it's about trying new things and maybe doing it at a on a budget that works for you, um but doing it now and not waiting for X thing to happen. Or I mean we should be feeling great about our bodies and what we're wearing every single day, and not keep putting it on the back burner or like hiding in sweatpants or athleisure because you're in this transition phase. Like this is this is your life, like every single day.
No, I so appreciate like the generosity and respect toward body that is
Yeah.
in what you're saying, that our bodies will evolve and change, sometimes in directions that we prefer and sometimes in directions we don't prefer. But I love
Right.
that sense of being fully alive in our lives and in our bodies right now and having options that fit the current body well and that
Mhm.
are an expression of who we are and not like the pressure to like express yourself so uniquely, but that just feel like you are yourself when you're
To
wearing.
feel like yourself, exactly. To feel like yourself and hopefully the best version of yourself day in and day out. It's so important.
Lauren, do you have any like personal stories that you want to share as you hit your identity metamorphosis moments, or do you have any ones that feel important to share from clients you've worked with?
Yeah. I mean, to be totally frank, I'm the kind of person that I was, out the womb, like dressing my, like, I love getting dressed. I love rediscovery. I love clothes. So that hasn't been my big challenge. I think coming into different versions of my body, like anybody else, has been, that rediscovery and dressing for this new body. That's been an exciting thing for me. But that's why I do what I do. But I can tell you that with clients who at this stage in their life, I've been so lucky to be witness to the positive transformation that happens when they choose to make this investment in themselves. Um, in creating capsule wardrobes for clients who, getting text message from clients who walk into their closet and say like, "Oh my god, like I'm so excited about what's in here. I'm excited about getting dressed today." Or getting a text message of, "I paired this with this and it was so cute. And I got so many compliments." Like there's a bit of this, the positive outcome of arming yourself with just like, a pair of jeans and a blazer that you feel really great in, and what happens when you go out into the world feeling good about yourself in that way, is really astounding to see.
Lauren, what you're talking about is, I think, really profound and has some subtlety to it that maybe we can try to together put some words
Okay. Yeah. You're
because I
basically trying to get at like the what you wear being a reflection of what's going on inside. So,
yeah. I think I think that there are some people who would be motivated to have an exterior aesthetic that other people would be impressed by or that other people would want to emulate. And I think that there are a lot of other women that I know that want most to feel like they're focused on what other people think, but more
mhm.
like they know what feels good to them. And that
Yeah.
what's on the inside isn't this like always polished and put together and unflappable person, but is a woman who knows herself and has a point of view and has
Yeah.
a self knowledge and a desire to be prepared to bring herself into the world, whatever it is that we're doing. Like
Yeah.
every woman listening to this is a mother and also a woman who is trying to influence the world in some way on
Yeah.
purpose. And
Yeah.
so I'm curious about any additional thoughts you have about what it is you think is like the healthiest, most evolved thing that women are trying to represent on the outside.
Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to this idea of getting dressed with intention, right? So when you're putting clothes on your body in a purposeful way that feels good for you and helps carry you through your day with more confidence, and you're not concerned about what you're wearing because it's the afterthought now. You've already put the work into it. Now you can just carry yourself with the utmost confidence, and it just reflects in every single thing you do, whether you are going into an office, whether you are meeting with a client, whether you are, you know, have a cocktail party, you show up as your best self, you're going to be putting your best foot forward.
Hearing you talk, that I was taking what you said a little bit in the direction of how other people perceive us.
Right.
But one of the things that really stood out to me in your bio and why I wanted to have this interview with you is your belief that getting dressed can be a grounding and confidence building ritual.
Mhm.
So that's so interesting to me because rituals are the things we do either with intention, which I know is a favorite word of yours, or just because it's part of the things that we do on a daily
Mhm.
basis.
Yeah.
Love the idea of choosing clothing that gives us a feeling of grounding and confidence, not an externally facing confidence like, oh, other people will approve of me, but more
Yeah.
the sense that I chose something that feels so me that I'm just remembering my worth every morning and I am
Yeah.
putting myself in my sense of purpose and who I am before I go
Yeah.
about my day. How does that sit with you or what other ideas come up for you?
Yeah. Well, I think, I talk often about how getting dressed in the morning is this non negotiable part of our day. It's something that we are doing no matter what, whether we want to or we don't want to. And it's about taking that opportunity as a moment, you know, as a grounding moment, as a moment to kind of hype yourself up for the day. And I've likened it also to like armor for your day. I mean, you walk into a closet that's filled with pieces that really reflect who you are today, then that's how you're going out into the world. And to your point, it's not about how people are perceiving you, it's about how you feel about yourself and in your own body. And so I think that taking the opportunity, taking the time to invest ahead of time in those pieces that are there waiting for you. And it's not about more clothes, it's about fewer decisions, walking in and feeling like you know what you're going to be reaching for and you're not second guessing and does this work? And I haven't worn this in 5 years, but it was really expensive. So like maybe if I put it on, like I'll feel like the best version of myself. It could be a $15 sweater that you got on sale at the Gap, but if it is comfortable and you feel good in it and it's checking all the boxes that we've cut our minds around as your style profile, you're going to walk differently throughout your day and everything that you do.
One of the things you said earlier in our conversation is that the benefit of being near or in your 40s or beyond is that you know what you like or don't like,
Yeah.
right? Even if you're not
Yeah.
really sure, when you see it, you'll know it.
Yeah.
I think I think another benefit of having this conversation in or nearing into your 40s is that maybe at a younger age, you were dressing to prove yourself in some
Right.
way. And most women I talk to are pretty motivated by releasing themselves from that obligation to prove themselves to other people,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
really want to feel that grounded powerful place on the inside, to love our families well, to be the people who we are meant to be during this brief time on this planet. So I love
Yeah.
that idea of letting that non-negotiable ritual
Yeah.
mean something and
Yeah.
empower us to do something and connect us with something
And
inside.
and it should feel good. I think that there was a point in our lives, probably pre-motherhood point in our lives where it was probably this like early 2000s time period where it was the, like beauty is pain. You have to like wear the high heels if you want the long legs. And it's like we're so far beyond that. We can feel comfortable and feel great. And I talk to clients a lot about this. Like, you have your like blanket outfits or your like, go-to outfits that just feel comfortable, or you want to put on your sweatpants or your Lululemon leggings and your oversized sweatshirt. And I often work with clients to try to figure out what is the elevated version of that still makes you feel held in the same way, but goes from getting dressed to being well dressed, and kind of feeling that when you put it on. So it doesn't mean that it has to be uncomfortable is my point. It should be comfortable, because if you're uncomfortable, you're going to be awkward, you're going to be not the best version of yourself. You're going to be, unbalanced. So that's one of the first things that I work on. And so what you have to think about, like, what is your go-to outfit and what is the elevated version of that? I feel like a lot of women's go-to is like pair of high-waisted leggings that makes you feel literally held. So we can achieve that with a pair of jeans, with a pair of high waisted trousers. A lot of these brands have like these glorified like sweatpants that are cut to be like trousers. Have you seen this yet?
Yeah.
They have
Yes.
like the pleats and like the hook and eye and a zipper, but they're basically like sweatpants. So if it can be as literal as that, or figuring out what your version is that makes you feel comfortable and held, but you feel like a well dressed version of yourself.
I love that word discrepancy between just getting dressed and being and feeling like for your own style you are well dressed with
Yeah.
whatever you're wearing. I love that. So
Yeah.
getting inspired to find a new style, working on finding that elevated version of what feels comforting to us. Are there any other tips you want to share with us today around paring down or editing your closet or anything
Yeah.
with that antidote to overwhelm when thinking
Yeah.
about, this
Absolutely.
identity evolution, the style evolution?
I mean, the first thing I do with all new clients, is a closet edit, because you have to cut out so much of what's not working for you to actually hone in on what does and make space for if there are new pieces or for the pieces that you're actually reaching for. I think 90% of women are wearing 20% of their closet at best. And so there's kind of this like mental tax that happens like when you walk into your closet and you see all the stuff even on a subconscious level, it's doing something. It's like it's taking up physical and mental space.
And what are you editing? for? What would you recommend people edit out?
I have a few little tips and tricks I can talk about to help you edit, which I'll get into. But I think like it's really anything that's not serving you day in and day out really doesn't belong there. So if you want to take a stab at this yourself, I have a few little things. So one is, would you buy this today? Not if it's on sale or if somebody gave it to you. Would you spend your hard earned money on this piece of clothing today? And I think that's one of my favorite little looks for it because I think so often the answer is no. And this is my favorite tip that I use for myself, but I'm trying to do a little bit of a refresh and make space. But that's a really good one. And would you wear this today? If you can't find a way to like wear, not like, oh, if on a skinny day I wear this, or on a, if I have X, Y, or Z occasion, I think like for occasion pieces, of course, those can have a special place in your closet. Seasonal, I think even, making space and taking away seasonally appropriate or inappropriate things from your closet makes a huge difference. So, I mean, something as obvious as like sweaters, they go in bags and they maybe go, under where they're not in your line of vision because it's a distraction and it's keeping you from being able to easily access the pieces that you're going to be wanting to reach for every single day. So, I think there's like a not now section if it's a black tie dress or if it's a super fancy top, of course, those can stay. But I think having the pieces that you're really wanting to wear day in and day out be very visible and very accessible is super important. So yeah, the would you buy this today is one of my favorite tricks. And would you wear this today? And if so, like how are you styling it? Making sure you have those ideas already locked in.
I love those tips. And the one little tip that I would add that goes with something that you just said is, does this fit your body today? Right?
Right.
Not is my body going to change in order to wear this again or for the first time, but
Yeah.
is so less emphasis on your body being right or wrong and your body needing to change, but more emphasis
Right.
on the piece of clothing itself. Is
Yeah.
this piece of clothing right for my body today?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
many women that hold on to items that they are hoping to wear again,
Yeah.
that they thought that they would wear. And whether it be postpartum or perimenopause or a health issue or just your body changing in a way you didn't expect. I love the idea of like releasing items of clothing that aren't right
Yeah.
for your body, not waiting for your body to change.
Yeah. It's like I said, there's something that happens, even if it's on a subconscious level, that's just not loving to yourself when you have those pieces taking up space. It's like a tiny little again, even on some level, your, like, body is recognizing it as, like, I'm not like,
Not
like,
good enough.
something's wrong. I'm not good
Right.
enough. It's not. Yeah. So I say, if it's something that you really love or that was a there's a nostalgia thing to it, then you could put it in a not now pile in a bag that's somewhere that's not in your line of vision.
Yes. What else? So we edit first. Anything else that you want to share for tips that people can do on their own?
Think the edit is such a big thing, and I think, you know, figuring out your go-to pieces. So I think if you have your 5 key pieces, there's so much that you can do with those. So I think it's having that pair of like jeans that are like on any given day, they work. It works for almost, nearly any occasion, making sure that you find that pair of jeans. I know that that sounds like so much stock in a pair of denim, but I think that that's huge. Having a pair of like trousers that are, non-denim pair of pants, like having 2 to 3 go-to bottoms that work for you that you feel good about, and then 2 to 3 tops that are also whether it's a t-shirt or a button-down blouse, just go-to items that like, you feel good in, that work with your tried and true bra, that work with the things that you could just it works without fail, and then a great, piece of outerwear, whether it's a could be a denim jacket or a trench coat or a coat, depending on where you live. Having just those basics and a great pair of comfortable shoes. So it could be a loafer, a boot, a ballet flat. Just having those key basics on hand and investing in those pieces now that work for you now that you feel good about putting on. So sometimes I'll talk to clients or about this process and they'll say like, "Oh, well I have this pair of like ballet flats and I don't really like reach for them." And that might be because they're a color that doesn't interest you anymore. It could be because like they're super unsexy and like the vamp like it comes up too far. It's finding the balance between really knowing what we like and what we don't like, but also being open to this discovering what might work for you now. Just because it worked for you 10 years ago doesn't mean it works for you now. And just because it didn't work for you 10 years ago doesn't mean it won't work for you now. So I think it's like this discovery process that you have to have some kind of guideline for. So whether it's a stylist that you're working with or somebody in a store to have be another set of eyes for you or your style muse who you might kind of be able to go to kind of use as a barometer.
I love that idea of it being like a goal for all listeners in 2026 is just to have those 3 bottoms, 3 tops,
Yeah.
pair of shoes that goes with it all, and a outerwear kind of mid-weight layer, depending
Yeah.
where you live, as just a goal to have all of those pieces that fit your body now would a
Yeah.
beautiful invitation. And if people are feeling overwhelmed by that edit or creating a capsule starting point like that, how can they get in touch with you? And what does it look like?
Yeah.
Probably lots of listeners, like myself included, have never worked with a personal stylist before.
Yeah.
Might seem kind of like what celebrities do are out of reach, but I understand that that's not the type of offering you provide. Can you share it?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with real women, like all of, the listeners who are tuning in. And it is not just for celebrities, it's having an expert eye to help guide you through this process and help you with this rediscovery. And just like anything else, like having another set of eyes is so helpful. So I work with clients in all different ways, but the two main ways that I work with clients are one, my more comprehensive work is this closet edit and overhaul. It really starts with this closet edit where I help them virtually. We go through everything in the closet, and it's a vulnerable process, but it's so rewarding that you feel like doing this with your like best friend. And the transformation and to be witness to it is I'm so grateful for it. But okay, I digress. The process is this closet edit. And then once we do the edit, or as we're doing the edit, I'm noticing what are the gaps? What are we missing to help achieve this, accessible wardrobe? And I put together a sort of style profile to help hone in on what are the looks that we're trying to achieve via an intake form I find out from my clients from the jump the priority context. So it could be I work in an office, I have a podcast that's recorded, I need to be on camera, I host cocktail parties for my team or whatever it might be. Fill me in on what the most important outfits are going to be. We hone in on those via a style profile, and then I source all these different pieces that I put together via a shoppable boutique that help build into these particular looks that we're trying to adopt into our wardrobe. And then finally, once all these pieces come in, there's the shopping piece. And once those pieces come in, we do another virtual fitting where we're trying them on together and figuring out together what works, what doesn't, why, and why not. So that way I'm helping to set you up with the tools to learn what works best for you and what are the right proportions for you and what is the right balance. And then we also integrate these pieces into our existing wardrobe. So during our edit, we are also clocking the pieces that do work that you should be using. And maybe you didn't know how to style it, but now you do because I've walked you through it. And so now we've got the pair of pants that works with that blouse that's just been hanging there for years that now you can finally start wearing. Set you up with these go to looks that help carry you into this new chapter of feeling great and confident. Another service I offer is a 6 look capsule, which is a little bit more of a delivered product where I create 6 looks for clients from head to toe based on that same intake form, based on your needs and budget, and all that criteria.
The second offering is if you're not ready for the whole edit and overhaul, you can still get a fresh, updated, right for your style
Absolutely.
spot
Absolutely.
offering from you. Lauren, I first of all am very inspired to go and do a first round edit of
Oh,
my
good.
closet. I
Yeah.
tell you how many flowery, flowy summer dresses I have in my wardrobe that I
Yeah.
actually haven't put on in years.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot
Yeah.
of occasion to wear that particular dress.
Mhm.
So I think it will be a wonderful invitation for me to actually try on the clothes that I have in my closet.
Yeah.
Run it through your filters.
Yes. Yes, my siphon.
Yeah, run it through your siphon. And then I can't wait to check out what I will link below for all the listeners are the links to your 2 services and the
Yeah.
support women. What I want every listener to know is that my experiences of preparing for this conversation and interacting with Lauren have really made it clear to me what a warm and accepting and kind and inspiring presence you are
Mm.
to be
Thank
around. So anyone
you.
feeling a little tender or vulnerable around asking for help, I feel like Lauren would be the perfect gateway support person to
Mm.
explore this part of your metamorphosis.
That is very kind of you. And listen, like I said, it's vulnerable work. It can, it's messy work, but it's so rewarding and it should be, and it's fun. It's fun. It's a really fun process. There's a lot of joy in it. So thank you for saying all that.
Course. Thank you so much for your time today, and I can't wait for listeners to share what they learned, what they thought was most helpful. Go ahead and leave us your comments. I read them all and I'll pass them along to Lauren. Thank you again.
Thank you.